Pleased to have Keith Phimion as our guest this time. Good to have you here.
Great to be here.
So
Thank
much
you
for joining us. On the 8th, big deal coming up. I'm giving you 1 minute right now to make the best pitch. Why should I vote for you?
I'm a businessman who has started a company in a room above a garage 24 years ago that today is nationwide. I know how to create jobs. It's what I do. It's what I'm good at. It's what we need in Congress. The big issues as I see them are jobs, taxes, and spending. And we need people in these seats who not only know how to balance budgets, but also can create jobs. By way of background, I'm a CPA, 7 years with Peat Marwick, the international accounting firm. Then I started my company, so I'm an entrepreneur. In fact, there's only 5 CPAs in Congress. I'd be the 6th. There are 11 entrepreneurs in Congress. I'd be the 12th. There are 3 patent holders in Congress. I'd be the 4th. And there are, I don't know how many CEOs of nationwide companies, but I was one of those for a decade and a half. So with me, you get 4 for the price of 1.
And not a lawyer, of which there are far too many. I think a lot of people would probably argue at this point. In your campaign ad, and you just right there talked about cutting spending. Let's get specific. Give me 3 areas that we can cut spending right now.
Listen, there's almost no place that we can't cut spending. The truth is 40% of the spending this year is borrowed money. We're borrowing at an unprecedented rate, something that absolutely cannot be sustained. And you can look everywhere and find places to save money. Duplication would be the first place to start because there are so many duplications among and between departments that a simple look at some of that would create enormous.
But how do you find that duplication, though? I mean, aren't we talking about a fairly extensive budget review or something like that?
I would ask the federal employees to help find it. When my company loses someone out of one of our departments, we go to the remaining people in that department and say, look, we can rehire or we cannot. If we don't, we'll split the savings with you. But to do that, we need to know where we can make things better, where we can improve, where there can be efficiency gains, or where software can be applied to make more automated a process that's perhaps a little more manual right now. But we get the help and the input and the buy-in of the people doing the work. Somebody's boss's boss's boss doesn't know how to do it, but the people on the ground do, and federal workers are no different.
Would you cut Pentagon spending?
The Pentagon is actually one of the few places where we may not be well advised in cutting because we are fighting a war on 2 fronts right now, and that is something that concerns me a great deal.
One thing in your district specific to the Pentagon right now has to do with the BRAC realignment, and would you, if it came up for a vote and you were in the House of Representatives, would you vote to delay the move of those federal employees?
I would, for the reasons Congressman Moran has expressed. We've got to get the traffic situation corrected.
You're an opponent of health care reform, as is now law. Would you vote to repeal it if you were elected?
I would. I would. And the simple reason is this. Look, it's not as though we don't need health care reform, Dave, we do. But the truth is the health care bill doesn't address health. It doesn't address wellness. And if there's no incentive for people to live healthy lives, then there's no disincentive not to. So that's a fatal flaw, a fundamental flaw. It doesn't address insurance across state lines. It doesn't address health savings accounts where the individual is in possession of their future in terms of deciding their health care needs. It doesn't address tort reform. So there are major deficiencies in this bill that while although it's passed, I don't think it all achieves the objectives that it was designed to set out to do.
Is it a fixable situation, or do you go out and start over again?
I think you probably have to go out and start over again.
There's a situation in Centerville right now with the Day Laborers Center. The county is interested in putting a workers' headquarters, migrant workers' headquarters, in a mobile home behind a shopping center there. There's become a fair amount of opposition to it from people in the immediate vicinity. Overall, though, an awful lot of people saying we have to do something. What's your stand?
Listen, the problem with building this thing is it will simply be a magnet to attract far many more people who are here illegally. There's a fundamental problem that undergirds this whole thing, and that is that we need to secure our border. In the age of nuclear terrorism, this is irresponsible. And as a consequence, we need to enforce federal laws that currently exist on our books.
Failing all that, and that's something that for another discussion, though, we have people here right now, people who are probably not going to go away and will continue to look for jobs. What do we do about the situation as it exists right now?
Look, it's a problem one way or the other, but we've got to address the fundamental problem that exists here. As far as the folks here who are looking for work on a daily basis, they hang out in various places within the county. And I know that's a concern to shop holders and to proprietors of businesses that operate in those areas. But to build a specific shelter for them to do this, it seems to me it just throws our laws away. We're a nation based on laws, and it seems to me we've got to enforce the laws that we have that exist, that are on the books today. And doing something like this is completely countervailing to that and that principle.
Okay. Let's talk about the differentiations between you and Pat Harity. Harity might be a little bit better known because he is a serving member of the Board of Supervisors right now. Draw some distinctions between your positions and his.
Jobs taxing and earmarks. I have created jobs my whole career. It's what I do. It's what I do well, and I've created hundreds of them. No one else in this race, either Pat Harity or Jerry Connolly, has created even one job. Beyond that, Pat Harity has raised taxes. He raised the property tax rate in Fairfax County from 92 cents per $100 valuation to $1.04. That was done a year ago last month. And that 13% increase in just 1 year reveals a great deal. Among the spectrum of possible responses to my pointing this out to the voters, I never expected outright denial to be one of them. But he has steadfastly maintained that he has not raised taxes, nor will he raise taxes on property owners in Fairfax County, and it's simply not true. And I'm not sure of the two which is worse, to raise taxes or to say then, having done so, that you didn't.
There are some people who are saying this could be one of those transformative elections, and incumbents on both sides of the aisle are in effect running scared. Do you see it that way?
Yes, I do. I think this is going to be at least what '94 was. I think it's going to be a sea change. Moreover, I think a lot of people on both parties incumbents will lose their jobs. I think the American people have had it, and I think, moreover, that the tax party movement is an indication of that, because these are people who tend to be older, very well informed. They remember our country at its zenith when it was still on its ascendancy, and they compare it to what exists today, and they are getting involved because they're very, very concerned.
Are you going to win on June 8th?
I'm going to win on June 8th, and I'm going to win on November 2nd, too. You watch.
All right. Keith Phimian, thank you so much. We really do appreciate your
Good to be here. Thank you very much.